feel like I'm getting hammered.
It feels like Caitlin Clark is being singled out. She's battled tough competition on the court, but nothing frustrates fans more than the inconsistent and, at times, baffling officiating. From blatant no calls to unnecessary technicals, it's starting to seem like the refs have a personal vendetta. Is this just the nature of the game, or is something else going on? Every time Clark steps onto the floor, the energy in the arena is electric. Fans rise to their feet, ready for her signature deep threes and dazzling assists. But instead of focusing on her game, she has to constantly watch her back. Not just for defenders, but for referees waiting to make questionable calls. The once roaring crowd often turns its frustration toward the officials, booing decisions that simply don't add up.
Indiana leads by 11 with 5:48 remaining in the second.
So, what's really going on here? Are these just bad calls, or is there a pattern of bias emerging? We're breaking down 10 of the most outrageous, game-changing calls that had fans, analysts, and even players shaking their heads. And trust me, when we get to number 7, you won't believe how blatant this has become. Let's start with one of the most ridiculous no calls in recent memory. It was September 22nd, the start of the playoffs. Indiana Fever versus Connecticut Sunday tensions were high, and all eyes were on Caitlin Clark, the league's most electrifying rookie. The stage was set for a thrilling showdown, but instead, fans witnessed one of the worst officiating blunders of the season. Just minutes into the game, guard Dejonai Carrington lunged for the ball, but ended up striking Clark square in the eye. The impact left Clark momentarily dazed, blinking as she tried to regain her focus. The crowd waited for the whistle, and waited, but it never came.
Harassed by Carrington, finds Boston. Clark gets hit in the face by Carrington and is down.
Fans erupted in outrage, expecting at least a foul call, if not a flagrant. But the refs stayed silent. The game went on as if nothing had happened. Meanwhile, Clark, clearly affected by the hit, struggled to find her rhythm. She finished the first half shooting an uncharacteristic 1-4, 9 from the field, including 0-4, 6 from beyond the arc. As the game continued, a nasty bruise started to form around her eye, a glaring reminder of yet another missed call.
And Clark is still down after taking a shot following the pass to Boston.
This was just the beginning. As the game went on, more questionable calls, or lack thereof, had fans wondering what the officials were really doing. Was this just tough playoff basketball, or was there something more to it? One thing was clear. Clark wasn't getting any superstar treatment. If anything, she was on the receiving end of some of the worst no calls the league had to offer.
Everyone else is seeing this angle. I'm calling her in, and I'm saying to her, I need answers.
Fans erupted in outrage, flooding social media with demands for accountability from the league. One furious viewer called it the worst officiated basketball game of all time, while another slammed the refereeing as an absolute embarrassment. But despite the mounting frustration, Caitlin Clark did what she does best, kept her focus and kept battling. And the biased officiating didn't stop there. Throughout the game, Clark endured relentless physicality, held, shoved, and repeatedly hit, yet the whistle remained silent. No calls, no protection, just an expectation for her to play through it all. Take a look at this moment when Marina Mabrey aggressively defended Clark as she fought for her first postseason bucket.
Clark trying to get around Mabrey. Clark to the rim, reverses it home through the country.
Even the game's commentators couldn't ignore the excessive contact, calling out the blatant fouls. But the referees? Completely indifferent. Clark, however, refused to let the missed calls define her. She adjusted, found other ways to contribute, and once again proved why she's one of the toughest competitors in the league. But this wasn't just about one game. It was a glaring example of how officiating can shape outcomes and, more importantly, put players at risk. Then came another moment of shocking physicality that had fans questioning the line between aggressive defense and outright dangerous play. This time, it was an August 28th matchup against the Connecticut Sun. Everything seemed normal, until Alyssa Thomas bulldozed through Clark, delivering a brutal shoulder check that sent the rookie crashing to the floor.
Look here at the heavy contact.
The arena gasped in disbelief. The hit was brutal, yet somehow, the officials only assessed a common foul. Fans were livid. "That's not basketball," one person tweeted. Another called it a cheap shot, pointing out how Thomas leaned in with her shoulder. The overwhelming consensus? That was a blatant flagrant foul. And the failure to call it as such only added to growing concerns about WNBA officiating. But even after enduring relentless physicality, Caitlin Clark refused to let it shake her confidence. She shook off the hit, got back on her feet, and went straight to work. Her ability to bounce back and stay locked in was a true testament to her mental toughness. Despite the blows, Clark kept making an impact, proving once again why she's one of the most determined athletes in the league.
Alyssa Thomas.
Yeah, they're not going to look at this. They might.
It's got the fans here fired.
But just when it seemed like Clark had battled through every challenge, a new controversy emerged, this time from an unexpected source. Picture this: a timeout, a fired-up rookie rallying the fans, feeding off the energy of the moment. Then, out of nowhere, a veteran steps in with a blatant shove. How would the referees react? The August 18th matchup against the Seattle Storm had already been an intense battle. As the game neared its climax, Clark stood near the Seattle bench, hyping up the crowd, embracing the electric atmosphere. And then suddenly, Skylar Diggins-Smith made her move. Without warning, Diggins-Smith stepped up behind Clark and delivered a forceful shoulder check, shoving her out of the way. The initial excitement in the arena turned into stunned gasps, quickly followed by a wave of angry boos. And the referees? Once again, they let it slide. No foul, no warning, just silence. The moment instantly sparked a heated debate about sportsmanship and fairness. Fans flooded social media demanding answers. How is this not a foul? One asked. Another questioned why certain players seem to get away with blatant aggression, while Clark continues to be scrutinized for even the slightest actions.
Okay, by now I'm sure you've seen Skylar Diggins assault Caitlin Clark after Indiana blew out Seattle.
And yet, while Diggins-Smith's shove went completely unnoticed by officials, Clark's own displays of passion and emotion have been met with quick technicals and warnings. So, the question remains: was this just another case of inconsistent officiating, or is there a deeper issue at play within the WNBA? That same August 18th showdown against the Seattle Storm was already intense, but what happened next took the controversy to another level. With 7:14 remaining in the third quarter, Clark missed a shot. Frustrated, she lightly tapped the padding of the basketball hoop, a harmless reaction seen countless times in the game. But before anyone could even process what had happened, the referee's whistle rang out. Technical foul.
Caitlin Clark gets hit with a technical. After